movie starts with Nora and Alec driving through the countryside, enjoying a nice day out. But soon, they get lost and end up on a strange road. Nora gets annoyed when Alec suggests they stop at an old, run-down diner. She heads to the back to find a bathroom and notices a few things like a wallet and a phone lying around. She brushes it off, not realizing there's a human skull nearby. As they leave, they unknowingly drive past a pile of skeletons. Hey everyone, Nacho here, and welcome back again. While they're driving, Nora tells Alec about the creepy diner, but he's more worried about their car running out of gas. Not long after, they spot a woman stranded by the side of the road with a broken-down car. Alec, being the helpful guy he is, stops to offer her a jump start. The woman agrees, but while Alec works on the car, she starts asking Nora why Alec hasn't proposed yet. This takes Nora by surprise, and she tells the woman to mind her own business. The woman gets upset and calls Nora irresponsible and privileged. Feeling uncomfortable, Nora tells Alec they should leave, so they drive off, leaving the woman behind. As they drive away, Nora complains to Alec about stopping to help the woman. Alec defends himself, saying he was just trying to be nice. They eventually decide to stop at a diner to grab a bite to eat. After they finish their burgers, Alec notices a strange man watching them from the end of the aisle. As they stand up to leave, the man suddenly grabs Nora's arm and warns her that she's not safe in this town. Alec steps in, and the man lets go, so they quickly head out of the diner. But Alec insists they take a break to avoid accidents in the dark. When they reach the cabin, they see many parked cars, which Alec takes as a sign that people are inside. Inside the cabin, Nora feels uneasy and asks Alec if they can leave. Alec reassures her that the place is used, as seen by the dirty plates on the table. To their surprise, the landlord, who has a disfigured face, greets them. He apologizes for not hearing them and then asks where they're from. Alec replies that they came from Los Angeles. The landlord then leads them to their cabin, which happens to be isolated from the others. He explains that it used to be rented by Boy Scout troops or church groups, hence the bunk beds around. Alec casually asks if the landlord has been there long. So the man notes that he's been running the place since 1989. Tired of the casual talk, Nora cuts the dialogue short and says they need a break. The landlord gets offended and loudly shuts the door as he leaves. Alec confronts Nora about her rude approach, but she argues that she's repulsed by the man's appearance. As the couple talks, they fail to notice the bloodstain on another bed. That night, they prepare for bed and drift off to sleep soundly, unaware of the figure hiding under their bed. When morning comes, the figure emerges, revealing himself as a man with a sheep mask. Later, Nora wakes up in a cage. She struggles to free herself, but another man in a goat mask appears and bangs her cage to silence her. He then abruptly leaves. Nora grabs a stone near her and uses it to break the lock. However, the man returns with another man in a cow mask who pours a liquid substance over Nora, making her lose consciousness. Soon, she wakes up in a barn tied to a chair with her legs spread open. Suddenly, a rabbit-masked vet barges into the barn and forcibly inserts something between her legs. The woman inseminates her like livestock and Nora can only scream. The vet simply walks out despite Nora's cries and screams. The process weakens her, and when two masked men enter the barn to transport her, she no longer has the energy to fight back. Back in a cage, Nora is pulled on a wagon by the man in the cow mask. As she's transported, she sees that these animal-masked people have an entire community, each with their own tasks. Shortly after, the wagon stops, and the man in the cow mask dumps Nora into a stable. As soon as she's alone, she pries the window open, but to no avail. The men are placed in tiny cages. Unfortunately, Alec meets the same fate and even has a muzzle in his mouth. He desperately screams for help from the other men, but they've all given up and are just waiting to die. Suddenly, 3 masked men enter the stables. They secure one captive man with a control pole and then bash him in the head with a hammer. Alec freezes while witnessing this, but then becomes hysterical, rattling his cage in sheer fear. This causes the men to approach his cage and attempt to capture him with the control pole. Alec fights back and tries to escape, but the other man knocks him out with a hammer. The men load Alec and the other unconscious captives onto the wagon. After delivering them to the slaughterhouse, the man in the pig mask carries a bag of human limbs all over their tight-knit town. Before putting it away, he sees a car pulling up nearby, so he waves at the driver and stows the bag in an office. He then approaches the driver and helps him carry a new captive into the stables. Later, the man in the pig mask meets up with the landlord, who acts as the ringleader of this vile town. The landlord notes that they have an order to feed 80 people, so he asks if the food will be ready. However, when he picks up a call from his customer, he realizes that the client will be picking up the food early. Because of this, he tells the man in the pig mask that they have to use their dairy livestock to compensate. In a separate stable, several lactating women are put into cages with suction tubes on their bosoms. Once the coast is clear, Andrew, the cashier from the gas station, enters the stables and tries to comfort the bereaved mother. The woman curses at him, and the childish man gets furious, telling the women it's their fault for being bad humans. Elsewhere, the landlord receives a complaint from a customer, saying that their wedding was ruined after they found a tooth in their food. Then ends the call when someone calls the man in the pig mask for an urgent matter. The landlord goes to the stables and discovers that one of the women is dead. They notice the wood stabbed into the woman's chest has Andrew's name carved on it, so the landlord immediately orders his men to find him. Meanwhile, Nora meets the captive next to her stall, who's been there for 2 years. She says all the captives are treated like farm animals, and she was impregnated to the point that she can't get pregnant anymore. Suddenly, she hears another woman crying from a separate cell. The woman's name is Ashley, and she's been held captive for 2 weeks. Elsewhere, Andrew plays with some severed human heads when one of the landlord's men finds him. He cries, defending that the woman was mean, but the man still drags him out. Shortly after, the landlord reprimands him for wasting their resources. As punishment, he's to help the farmhands feed the captives. However, he accidentally tips over a bucket of food and immediately runs to avoid the consequences. The man in the pig mask looks for him and finds him running out of the greenhouse. Andrew rushes to the kitchen and hands some oregano to the landlord. In the stables, men enter the stall next to Nora and tie the other woman up. Nora watches as the man in the pig mask slaughters her. Horrified, Nora sinks to the floor, barely able to process what's happening. Later, the men leave, and the stables fall quiet. Suddenly, the door rattles, and Nora cowers in fear. However, she feels relieved when she sees Alec, who tells her to escape with him. The two make their way out of the stables while avoiding the farmhands. Soon, they find a truck, but it won't start. A farmhand gets alerted when they try to turn the engine on, so Nora helps the injured Alec hide. They keep running and find a church. Nora carries Alec inside, hoping it's safe. Inside, they see pews covered in plastic. Alex sees a man with a cow mask through the window, so they hide just before he comes in. Nora watches as the cow-masked man prays and decides they need to escape. But as they try to leave, the floor creaks and the man rings the church bells to alert others. Alec gets caught in a bear trap, and while Nora tries to help, farmhands arrive. They team up to drop a large rock on Alec's head. Nora hears his skull crush and runs away, crying. She hides in the male stables and asks a captured man how to escape. He tells her about a bus used by the farmhands and where the keys are. Nora thanks him and heads out. As she goes to find the keys, she spots a masked man driving away and follows him to a parking lot. She kills the man with a hammer, but then faces a farmhand and must quickly drive away. The car struggles, but Nora manages to escape. She's relieved, but soon finds the engine dying, forcing her to run. She hides in the kitchen and then in the basement. She tries to escape through a window, but is grabbed by a man. She stabs him with the sharp object from the church and climbs out. Outside, she finds the bus and decides to rescue Ashley, who's scared but agrees to come with her. They get on the bus but realize they don't have the keys, so they run back to the house to find them. Nora finds the keys and they rush back to the bus. Just as they start the engine, they realize Ashley is quiet. To their horror, the farmhands are sitting at the end of the bus staring at them. The masked people gather around a dinner table with Nora and Ashley served with apples in their mouths. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. And that's a wrap for today's movie recap. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride with Nora and Alec. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more movie recaps, and click the bell icon to stay updated with all my latest content. Let me know in the comments what you think about this movie, or if there's a film you'd love me to cover next. Until next time, stay curious and keep watching amazing movies. This is Nacho signing off. See you in the next one.